Welcome to BizJet TV. My name is Fabrizio. Today's episode, we're going to be comparing the Boeing business jet to the Airbus corporate jet, and we'll throw in a little bit of a comparison with the Gulfstream G650 as well. Now, often I get asked the question, shall I buy a Boeing business jet, an Airbus, or shall I go for a Gulfstream? Now, the decision whether to go on one of these conventional private jets like the G650 or an airliner converted into a private jet like the Boeing business jet or Airbus corporate jet really depends on the number of passengers that are going to be flying on your typical mission. So what I always recommend, if there's going to be, over 8 people on most of the flights, and the flights are quite long, I would certainly recommend you buy a Boeing business jet and an Airbus corporate jet, because one of the issues you're going to have is in a G650 or a Global 6000 or Falcon 7X, whatever, the galleys don't really cater for more than 6 people. In particular, if you're on a long 10-hour flight, you're going to have to put a lot of food and drink on there to cater for your passengers. And there's not enough space in these smaller business jets. So that's where you should be moving into an airliner converted into VVIP. So it really depends on the number of passengers. Now, Boeing, BBJ, or Airbus corporate jet, if we're looking here at the comparisons, you can see the Airbus cabin is slightly bigger, but the Boeing is cheaper to operate. Now, I tend to favour more the Boeing than the Airbus, and I'll give you the reason why. If we take, for example, the two main low-cost carriers in Europe, which are Ryanair and EasyJet, there's a reason why Ryanair are more punctual than EasyJet, and that's because they operate the Boeing 737. Now, Boeing 737 is a bit more agricultural than the Airbus. The Airbus technology in the Airbus is a bit more advanced. But because of the way it's been designed, whatever, when things do go wrong, there are more chances of the Airbus being grounded than the Boeing. So the Boeing can fly with a number of in-op stickers in the cockpit. Some systems that aren't functioning, you can still go. Well, with the Airbus, that's not the case. So you may have one system is boxed in with some other systems, and if one system in particular is not functioning because it's in the same box as other systems, it's basically all those systems create what's called a no-go item. And so that no-go item tells the pilot that he's not allowed to fly unless the engineer comes and fixes the aeroplane. So the Boeing tends to be more reliable than the Airbus for this particular reason. But, there's nothing knocking the Airbus. I mean, I think the interiors inside the Airbus are a lot nicer than the Boeing, but that also depends on the designer and the fabrics and that are chosen. There are, of course, more Boeing business jets out there than Airbus corporate jets. So, if you're going to buy one of these airplanes, as I always say, it is down to taste, it is down to mission profile, and the designer. You can get a designer that can design interior of your Airbus or your Boeing. You can pick the fabrics. I mean, it can be quite expensive if you're kitting out one of these airplanes in a customized interior, depending on how over the top you want to go. I mean, I've seen some people spend 100 million on the interiors. I've seen people spend 10 million. So it really does depend what you're looking for. So overall, that's my take on Boeing business jet, Airbus corporate jet, and the G650. 3 good aeroplanes, but my pick on this would be the Boeing business jet over the Airbus corporate jet for the reasons I explained. Because at the end of the day, when you're buying a private jet, you're buying time. You're not buying luxury, as a lot of people think of it. But it all depends, because some people that do have one of these airliners, they also tend to have a smaller jet, like a G650 or G550 or Falcon 7X, and that, or maybe a Challenger 300. And that's what they do. So they use the smaller jet when there's just 2 or 3 people flying around, and they use the bigger jet when there's larger groups. And that's basically the way it works. So if you're looking to acquire one of these jets, I highly recommend we can jump on a Zoom call and have a chat. So feel free to ping me an email and we'll schedule you in. And if you haven't subscribed to BizJet TV, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Comment below. Let's get the conversation going. And give us a thumbs up as well, which helps the algorithm tell everybody about BizJet TV. And that's all from Fabrizio on BizJet TV. And I'll see you on the next one.